Hey everybody, Richard Pickett here and Shel Shapiro with digital brand Alchemy once again for our weekend live.
I always start off by doing that little bop to the music.
With the dance.
Yeah.
I wish they could figure out how to get that music to continue to play and fade out after we start, so that it's still the music
then people
would still be
understand
going.
why I'm bopping a little bit.
I'm sure that they see it, but it's just, to me, it's like the abrupt stop. It's like,
yeah.
So, just to cover this before we really get started, hello everybody. I see some people already hopping in. I will be drinking some tea, so if you hear me like clicking the little top and pouring or whatever, it's just good old hot tea. I guess I could tell you the process real quick. The leaves are in here. You pour the hot water in here and steep it for literally like 10 seconds. And then pour it into this. And then from here into that little tiny, I don't know what this is called. It's not a shot glass, but a tea shot glass, like whatever. Anyway, so if you see me doing stuff off screen, I'm just drinking. Actually, this is not green today. I'm using some white tea from China from my in-laws. So
very nice.
What are you doing, Shel?
Well, if I'm bopping around on the side of my screen, it's because I'm throwing the cat back on the floor. She's been running back and forth a little bit while I'm getting set up here. So yeah, you may also see her walk across the screen. Who knows?
Yep.
But that's what I'm doing in the background. And if you see me fidgeting otherwise, it's just because I fidget a lot.
Yeah, so it won't be you face rolling on the keyboard. It'll be the cat playing on the keyboard.
Yeah.
All right.
So if you see a bunch of S's and all different kinds of letters, yeah.
So I dropped in a couple of topics as starting points. I may need to adjust my camera a little bit. And I'm really looking for you guys to give us some feedback and direction. I really loved the engagement we had last week. It was amazing. Love you guys for all the stuff that you bring in and the questions you have going and even the sharing. There's a lot of value added. So it's not just like Shel and I. Also, you may notice the URL at the bottom here. If you guys have a webcam, roughly quiet background, we'll forgive you for bad video. As long as the audio is pretty clear, usually the audio is the most important thing of video. You can definitely hop in. We would love to go one-on-one if you want to preview your site, ask one-on-one questions, or even talk about how you're building your brand. So either help or either we can help you or you can advertise yourself, like whatever. If you want to hop on, please do join in. I will see you show up down below and can easily add you in.
Yeah, I invite somebody else to come on with us. And in fact, that's how I started doing it. Was I think I consistently kept coming on as a guest when you were up here. So yeah.
Like, man, you can't get rid of her. Might as well just keep her.
It's true. And
just
now,
kidding.
Now just we're here.
Kidding. So today I was just reflecting on the topics, and Shel and I have worked off screen, off video, however you'd say it, quite a bit on getting her business flow down. So I thought it would be really good to kind of highlight what are the things that she's done, what was she focused on in the beginning before we really started working together, what is she focusing on now, what's the difference, and not that anything that she was focusing on is necessarily bad, but there are some things I feel like you need to focus on like right out of the gate. So the questions that naturally came to my mind are, what's the most common mistake people make when they first get started? What are they focusing on that they shouldn't? What things should they be focusing on? Then which one's more important, sales or marketing? Both, like how do you do them? In what order? And then we always put this one up here and never seem to get around to it, but productivity.
Actually, like 2 weeks ago, I think that was the bulk of what we talked about when I was at my parents' house. We were talking about the lagging, like energy in the afternoons and when we felt most productive. Yeah.
Yep. So that's when I was thinking more about like Asana, breaking tasks down, like building out your week ahead of time, those kinds of productivity. But yeah, certainly knowing your rhythm, to know what time of day is best for you to do which activities is definitely a big plus. So for sure. All right. So number one mistake I think most people make when they first get started is they look at everything but what I'm going to roughly categorize as sales. So they'll look at, and I usually throw these out in the beginning, and I think they're often the common choke point, but they'll look at designing their website, then redesigning their website, fonts, colors, which photos to use, like all those kinds of things, business cards. And those are kind of nice to have, or maybe in some cases they may be a need to have depending on your industry. But I feel like people put way too much attention on that. And the thing that they really should focus on is I need to prove out my business idea. So I've got an idea that I can sell this one thing and I'll go make money, whatever it is. Like it could be a service, coaching, like whatever. They need to go and validate that people, if I make this, people will really buy it. So what does that actually look like? Instead, they spend most of their time thinking if I get a really great website, then I'll get sales. If I have a good business card, then I'll make good connections and things like that. And I kind of don't think that they're true. So I thought it'd be good. I remember Shell and I started talking 6 months ago, maybe.
Yep.
And, so I asked her earlier, like, if she could talk a little bit about where she started in her mindset and where she is today, now that we've worked probably 2 solid weeks, heads down on things. We kind of talked a little bit before that, but I think we really paid a lot of attention over the last couple of weeks. So what are your thoughts, Shell?
Yeah, so I think it's important to note that, like, I was definitely one of those people that thought I needed to have other things running first before I dove into the sales aspect because I was afraid of the sales part of it. I don't think that I'm great at it. It's something that makes me really uncomfortable, and I don't want to ever sound too salesy. So I thought in the beginning and was prompted to get a landing page up to invite people to start collecting emails and build that while I figured out the rest of it. Well, okay, I don't know what a landing page is in the beginning. So when I start doing my homework and I watch a webinar and I figure out what kind of landing page I want and what that's going to look like for me, well, like, why not build the whole thing? Like, why just the landing page? And so I spent a lot of time on that because as I'm shedding my perfectionist skin, like, it was never good enough. But getting the landing page, okay, then I spent time figuring out what's attracting people, what's scaring them off, what are they going, I can see that they're going there, but they're not signing up. And then really going through that whole feeling of imposter syndrome, which comes up often, we talk about it a lot, of, okay, now that I've gotten people to start signing up, what value am I giving them? Like, how do I, then I'm like worried about the email marketing aspect of it. And then, so I wasn't doing that as consistently as I should have. And so people signing up was a slow process. Starting to gain a little momentum there, still pretty bare bones, but like, so I started with the landing page and then it evolved into the website. And the other thing that I was doing in the beginning was, okay, I know I need to validate what I'm doing, but I don't have a concrete offer yet. And instead of figuring out what that concrete offer is and how I was going to go about doing that, I thought, okay, well, if I need to start getting people to sign up for my newsletter, if I need to start getting people there, I need to get myself out there more. I need to start generating interest. And so I think it was the beginning of November where I was invited to learn how to be a podcast guest. And so that was a small, intimate group where we went live amongst us on Zoom, and then we had a Facebook group that we met weekly to discuss different habits that we could, start pitching to other people to be a guest on their show. Most of those people, and there was only, I think, maybe 10 in total, they already had what they were selling. They were just trying to promote what they were already selling. Whereas I was on the other end of like, all right, well, I'm going to use this to help generate interest and get my name out there so people know me, so that I'll like start to be a recognized name or brand for what I do really well. And then I'll figure out the sales part. And now that we're talking about it more, like, that was kind of backwards. I should have dove more into figuring out what my specific offer was. and having a landing page to lead people to that offer, not just and then some, not just a freebie to give them, and then, okay, what else am I doing? Like after that freebie, like what value am I providing besides that freebie that they're getting when they sign up? So I think those things are still important because I have realized that I love being a guest on podcasts, and sharing my stories and letting people understand why I'm doing what I'm doing and what's driving me to do it, and the back end of that so that they know where I'm coming from. But is it necessarily generating the interest and getting people to know my name as much? No, because I haven't shown them the specific value. I've only told them the stories. So important, but not the most important.
Yeah. So if I could encapsulate some of what you were saying there, it's find the value that you're going to deliver to people, aka product or service.
Yes.
Once you know what that is, it's a lot easier than to know what type of content to put out. So if you're going to be a podcast guest, for example, and you want to know what the best content is to talk about on a podcast, it would be directly related to your product or service. Whereas if you don't know what the product or service is that you really want to offer, you don't really know what you need to talk about,
Right.
On the podcast.
Right. Well, it's not to say that I was just applying or pitching to be a guest on like every podcast under the sun. I was very specific in targeting shows that also spoke to things that I was familiar with, burnout prevention, putting boundaries in place, being in a toxic work environment, things like that were still new and familiar to me. So it was also therapeutic in a way to help me shed that skin, but also to shed light on things that I thought were a real problem that I don't want other people to suffer from. So I think I've gotten people to resonate with the pain points, not just from my end, but that they're feeling them too. And now it's a matter of like translating it to what problem I can solve for them by way of that. So I've done the inspiring. Now I'm in the educating and taking action. But I should have done that all as a full package.
Right. So the other one is, the podcast is definitely like more what I would consider a marketing function. Being a guest and going on other people's show is definitely a marketing function where you're getting awareness of who you are, what you do, what you can do for others out there. I think that comes after not only figuring out the product or service, but I think it also comes after sales, like learning the sales mechanism. And this is one of the things that Shell's really been working on a lot, probably for the last 2 weeks, like getting the sales process down.
Yeah.
Because if marketing brings people to the door, sales is what gets them to pay the money and come inside. So if I don't know actually how to make a sale, I can get a lot of people gathered at the front door, but have no real business going on. And this is it's your case, I don't think is as bad as what I typically talk about, like seeing people that just do nothing but post on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and they got all kinds of stuff going on. They get caught up in vanity metrics, likes, and all that kind of stuff. You weren't, out to that extreme by any means, but it's the same. They're just what they're doing is a manifestation at a larger scale of really the same miss, and that is not really realizing I need to focus on product and service first, which some of them no doubt do. But then once I gather attention, how do I actually convert that attention into money? I think is often overlooked, because we're afraid to be salespeople. We're afraid to ask someone for money. So it's just a lot easier to make another post or to be, a podcast guest again.
For sure. Do you want to talk more about the sales and marketing aspect of it? Or
oh yeah, dig in.
Well, you want? I guess I can speak to what I've been doing the last 2 weeks, which is really fine-tuning my pitch a little bit and narrowing down the audience. Although, I've definitely niched down before to know who my audience is, but actually going in and starting to search to identify them is a whole different animal because, again, I'm a planner, and sometimes as much as I talk about taking action, I was taking too much action on planning more things and not doing them. So Richard's been kicking my butt a little bit to get me to take some action on the right things and stop planning. I think I had a post last week that said quit planning and take action or something like that that you had said. And it's so true. I keep getting comments on it that people are falling into that trap of planning, and then they're not taking any action towards what they actually need to do and get done. So if you're a planner like me, get more on track with actually getting things done. But yeah, so I've been diving right in to figure out what my pitch is, and to really figure out for me, and I'm a little bit stuck, and we can talk about this more off screen, with do I sound too salesy? Because I still think that I sound too salesy, and I say this from a place of people slide into my LinkedIn DMs all the time, and right off the bat, I know it's a pitch. Like there's not, I can tell that it's automated, or at least that they're copying and pasting, which theoretically I want to be doing too, but I want it to sound more authentic. I don't even want to read half of what people are sending me, even if it's something that I feel, oh, I could probably need this, but like just the way that they went about giving it to me, I don't want it. And so I'm trying to avoid sounding like that. I can even probably pull one up right now and not tell you who it is or what their product is, but I got one recently, and then I went back in and I said, I hope I don't come off like this like ever, because I definitely don't want that. Because it came up in my feed or in my messages as a LinkedIn offer. I don't know if like that's something separate or there's a different way to do it under Sales Navigator.
I think so, yes.
But I get messages like this on the regular, and they don't always come up as LinkedIn offers. So I know this was like a targeted thing.
Right.
So she starts off by telling me like the metrics of how many job seekers there are on LinkedIn, and then she goes in to tell me like that she can help me solve a problem of looking to hire talent. I'm not looking to hire talent right now. So first off, your target is wrong. But she doesn't do anything to connect with me specifically or that resonates with me. And while I know that it's an automated message, and I know that she's put it on autopilot to probably try to get to as many people as she possibly can, I at least want my message to resonate in somebody's minds of like, oh, like I'm like she did know that about me, just by pulling out some detail that I had talked about in my profile, and there's nothing like that here. It's just like the hard sell of like, here's the metric, here's what I can offer you, are you interested? And it went on. And I get messages like that all the time, and I definitely don't want to sound like that. So crafting and recrafting my message a little bit, also to target students versus also targeting recruiters, so that we can offer it to their clients, has to be a slightly different message because it's a different audience. So I have multiple messages that I'm working on finalizing to pitch people. And that I think that also kind of like holds me back a little bit, because now I've split up things into multiple categories instead of just focusing on the one. But yeah, I've been trying to figure out my sales pitch before I start sending them all out to all these people that I've narrowed down now.
So to rewind back to what you said in the beginning about quit planning, I don't think I've mentioned this in our talks, and I just remembered it. It's the same people that have the DISC personality test. They also have one, it's like Team Dynamics. I can't remember the exact name of it, but I took it years ago, and it's basically, the same idea. You have like a circle, and according to how you answer the questions, you're going to fall in one of these 4 quadrants. And up at the top, from y'all's perspective, the top left, I think was the guy who can come up with ideas. So ideation. And then the top right one is the refiner. So he gets the idea and then he comes up with a better one and makes it, whatever. And I scored like right up in between both of those. So I was the guy that I would get an idea and then I could make it better. And then I'd go get another idea and I could make that one better. And that's planning. That's like just here, and I just make the, infinitely perfect plan. And then the bottom quadrants, the bottom left for you guys watching was I would call him the greaser. He's the guy that goes around and makes sure everybody has what they need, make sure everybody's getting along. He's thinking more about relationships and how we do work together and trying to smooth things out rather than directly making or creating ideas. And then the other one, again, this is from memory, so I'm probably getting them all wrong, but except for the top two, I definitely know those. And the other one in the bottom right corner was the boss. And this is the guy that says, I want you to give me something at 5 p.m. on Friday. I don't care if it's working or not, get it done and give me something, so that guy is who's really needed for the people who come up with the ideas and make them better and then come up with another idea and make that one better. They really need that boss person or personality that just says, I don't care if it's perfect. I don't care. Don't make this idea any better. Just get part of it done and give it to me about 5 p.m. So I feel like I have to play that role in my own business. When I realize I'm doing nothing but ideation, like coming up with a better idea and then making it, a better, improving on that. Like I have to play the role of the boss, and then I kind of don't like my work. It's like, oh man, I actually have to go do this thing now, and I'll drag my feet. I'll find something else more interesting, whatever. So I like to have to put my foot up my own rear sometimes, and then I find the same thing with clients. The other one that's similar with clients is not only do they want to infinitely plan, but they also want to learn everything they possibly can first. And sometimes clients will jump ahead. I had one this last week. We sat down and we talked. I said, in this case, it was the website. I was like, the website needs to come 3 steps from now. Here's the exact plan. Do you see how these pieces, this piece is needed first, then we can move to this piece, and then that piece is needed for the next one, and then that piece is needed for this. And then finally you can get to the website, kind of like what's your product before you go make the sales brochure. If you don't know what your product is, you can't make the sales brochure. It's the same kind of thing with the website. And this client was stuck on, but I want to name my website. I'm just itching to get this done. I explained it to them. They said, okay, I totally get it. And I mapped the plan out graphically and gave it to them. and said, these are the exact steps. You can see where the website is. 2 days later, hey, what do you think about this name? What do you think about that name? I'm like, oh my goodness. But I get it because I'm the same way. So a lot of value, by the way, of having a coach is the coach is not stuck in the business with you, so to speak, to get caught up in making the website, for example. But the coach is the person that can step back and say, no, you don't need to do that today. This one is actually more valuable.
For sure.
So, and on the sales pitches, one last little thing, and then let's hear some more from you. I see people constantly dropping in, more people from YouTube. That's encouraging. Also,
Yay.
Interesting. Let me know who you are, where you're from. But on the LinkedIn one, when I get the messages, so my top company name is RP, and it's the reverse R and P, just like you see right here in my logo. So which is Cyrillic or whatever. It's Russian, and you either have to have a special keyboard or know how to type in Unicode. And I've got the Unicode memorized. So it's just really interesting when someone drops in a message using those exact characters and they say, I really love what you're doing at RP. It's like, dude, you have no clue what I'm doing at RP. And one guy even asked, I said, that's an automation fail. No, he posted that. I gave him something completely different, asked him a personal question because I went and looked at his profile. And then right after that, it was another piece of automation. So I put, well, that's an automation fail. And he said, well, he later said, well, what are you talking about? I said, no one types my company name. He said, oh, I copied and pasted it. He started trying to lie his way out of it. It was hilarious. But the bottom line is, if you're going to use automation, okay, I get it. You're trying to scale, but use it in a smart way that's not offensive. Or like Shell said, you could just tell as soon as you get the message, or it's usually like a couple of paragraphs, a link, and it's all about come buy this, come check out our product. It's never how can I help you, or I noticed that you are a personal brand, a coach, author, a speaker, and I think you may find value in this, like trying to offer someone value versus come check out my stuff and do you want to buy? Like,
yeah, I mean, it's completely crazy sometimes, and especially now that I've changed a lot of my settings in different platforms to be more public so people can find me, whereas before I had them all turned to private so people couldn't find me or needed access in order to view my stuff. I want to be more accessible now, and so when people are commenting on my posts in Instagram and their companies are just, it's an automation and they're, hey, we like what you're doing, come follow us. Well, no, I don't know anything about you to come follow you. And what does this have to do with my post at all? It doesn't. So that's a little bit off-putting as well, besides the DMs that like people want to be my sugar daddy. And I'm like, all right, how many other people are like, I get at least 2 of those a day. It's ridiculous. But I want people to authentically follow me and like resonate with what I'm doing, which is great because I'm getting a lot of that too. But then I'm getting just as many automations that are like, all right, so I'm in their algorithm now, and people want me to be a brand ambassador without even knowing like if that product is a good fit for me. Hey, like we saw your feed, you're doing great things. Come be a brand ambassador for us, but you need to buy something first. If you want me to represent your brand, and if it's supposed to be a mutual relationship, then why do I need to buy something from you first in order to be a brand ambassador? Like you should want me to sell your product. Like you should want me to put it out there without having to buy something on my own. So I feel like that's just another like sales technique to get me to buy some of their stuff. And also I'm not in, aside from like mental health, I'm not in a fitness or wellness industry. For instance, there's one that keeps pitching me, and now I can tell that the email, because they sent me an email, not even in my Instagram feed or my DMs. Hey, we saw your Instagram profile, like we think you're great, and it's a fitness company. Well, I used to be more fitness related, but you don't know that because it's not in my feed. So what do I have to do or offer in the fitness world? Like it has nothing to do with mental health either. So I entertained it because I was curious. Hey, tell me more. Well, blah, 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 blah. Here you'll get 25% off for life. And I'm like, okay, nope,
right.
don't do that. And now that I've taken myself off and said I don't want to do that, I'm still getting automated emails. So it's like they sign me up for their newsletter without even asking my permission, just by me saying like, hey, I want to know more. That was like a cue to put me in their newsletter subscription feed, which is definitely not what I wanted. So people need to go about automation the right way and do it. Even things like you said, things can be automated, but they should do it respectfully and in a way that doesn't offend people or turn them off, because ultimately you want to attract clients. You don't want to turn people off from what you're doing. And I think that's a big automation fail for a lot of people, even when it's not fully automated yet.
Right. And automation has its place. Going back to like sales versus marketing and the order of starting with like what's your product or service, and then figuring out your message from that, and then going and doing some sales so you know what it actually takes to convert people from the prospect to the customer. Then you can go into doing more marketing. Then you know how to convert people when they come. And after that, after you have this smooth flowing funnel, then you can start looking at methods to scale. And you definitely want to keep the personal touch up. I've another one that's been kind of interesting that's hit my inbox is I used to have like working with influencers and kind of that kind of stuff on my LinkedIn profile. So when I got this email, I thought, well, that's where that's coming from. I got this email saying, hey, we're having this big thing in New York and we're bringing in all these influencers. And if you'd like to come, you know, we work specifically with influencers to bring them in. And I think when I looked at it, it was, and you have to buy our package kind of thing. So I was like, okay, this is all sales, but at least I know where you got it from. You got it because you saw my LinkedIn profile, got my email address from there and sent it. But then I went and I looked, the email address they were sending this to is an email address I haven't used in 8 or 9 years, maybe 10 years. So they just scraped this email off the internet and just blasted this thing out. It just happened that I happened to have something about influencers at some time in the past, in the last couple of years. So yeah, that's just really it's not salesy, it's sleazy. It's not even good salesman.
Yeah, sleazy.
Yeah. So how to keep yourself from being too salesy? Again, I really think this is why it takes time, and you have to do things in a specific order. You come up with your product and or service, and then you get to know the customer. Who's the ideal customer? Their hair is on fire to get this problem solved, and as soon as you say, "Hey, I've got this solution," they're ready to jump on it, and they're financially viable. Those two conditions, then that's how you figure out like how to make an avatar or persona for your ideal customer. Then get in their shoes and understand how do they describe the problems that they're having. What does real solutions look like to them? What's the emotional connection to the solutions? Once you have that, now you can begin crafting a really good message, because you're going to talk directly to the way that they're thinking and feeling. And then it's easy to do sales conversions, and then it's easy to do marketing, because now you have your marketing message. And this is the stuff I just absolutely love doing. I probably should have looked up my own stats before we got on the show to see what my current conversion rate is on the marketing that I'm doing. I think I'm probably around 25%, which is insane.
Right. And when we looked the other day, your email open rate was like 33% or something like that.
I think that email was like within the first, I think that was still that same day. Usually your open rates, like you can check your final open rate will be set around maybe 48 hours, maybe 72 at the longest. So 2 to 3 days at the longest. And my open rate at like the 3-day mark is above 40%, which is really incredible. So thank you guys that are watching for engaging so much. I really appreciate that. That also is an indicator that you're giving value to people. And I feel bad about it because most of the value we deliver is actually through this video. It's not through email. I send out the emails to let people know that we've got a live coming on. And by the way, those links also work if you click on it like a day after the live. You click on that link, you'll still come to the same video. It'll just be in the past. So it'll be a recording instead of being live.
Yeah, you can watch a replay all the time on YouTube. I've been watching them. Actually.
Oh, really?
Because sometimes it's hard. I don't want to keep scrolling for them, so I just go when I watch them to get the show notes and stuff. It's just easier for me to pull out the timing from Facebook as opposed to Facebook. But it makes my life easier when I can see them all just like right there instead of having to scroll through the feed of everybody that we've introduced that past week and stuff. Because the videos don't always come up sequentially either. It depends on when the last comment was, unless it's something that we constantly are pinning to the top, the most recent video. I want to go back real quick to what you were talking about with that circle. I don't know that I've ever taken that kind of assessment to find out which quadrant, but just listening, we know I'm a planner based on everything. So I believe that was like the second one that you talked about. I'm a combination of, I'm definitely not the boss. And I definitely don't think that I'm the idea machine, like the one that's like the first. I'm the one that makes the ideas better, and then I'm the greaser. Like, I think I'm a combination of those two. It'd be interesting for me to take that actual assessment and see how it actually breaks me down. Because originally when you were describing it, I was like, I'm like probably like right in the middle of all of these, except I know that I tend towards not being the boss. I want to do all the things. I don't necessarily want to give the orders. So it was interesting hearing you talk about what the different parts of that like that full cog to get everything working in proper order looks like. And I hadn't really thought about that in a while. Like, I know I've seen that model before, but I don't think I've ever taken that assessment.
Or you could be the boss, because another aspect of the boss is organizer. They're really good at organization.
Well, yeah,
Whereas the
yeah. I mean, like,
ideator
mhm.
is very disorganized.
I am very organized. Yeah.
Yeah, let me show you my desk. I'm an idea guy because this thing is not organized at all.
Oh my God. Do you have like notebooks and papers all over the place?
Well, where
You don't need to move the screen to.
yeah, where all over the place means on the desk, yes. What's really sad is I'll clean it up, I'll get everything organized, I'll get rid of stuff, and then it'll just slowly build up. And I always have this one stack where it's like, oh, I need to look at this later, so I'll just stick it in the stack, and later never comes. I'm always too busy with other things. This side of the desk is always really clean and organized because I'm putting like my notebook there, my phone's over there right now, a book that I'm reading, so in the laptop gets positioned. So like this side of the desk is great. This side of the desk turns into the collection, and I have to go through it. And honestly, I don't need hardly. I think if I look at all that stuff, I'll throw it away. But at the moment, it's like I need to keep this for some reason. Yep.
Yeah, it's really interesting to mention that, and I know that's off topic, so I'll keep it short. But I think I have piles like that in only when I'm by myself. If I was in an office working around other people all day long, which is I started there. I wasn't always working from home. My desk was always immaculate. I would have everything stacked in order, and like I would come in the morning and put things in the order that they needed me to do so that I wouldn't look at other things. And then all the other chaos around me was happening, so that tended to not stay the order that things were happening. But I was much more organized then, whereas when I'm by myself and I live alone besides my cat, I have Post-its all over the place. Like before they were scattered all over the place until I ran them in and put them back in a pile, or I threw out half of them. But I try to keep that still limited. I'm just more OCD about it when other people are around to always see it.
Yeah. So do you think that it's an appearance thing? You don't want to look bad in front of other people?
I have it all together all the time. Yeah, I definitely think it's a coping mechanism, but also I really did need to have my stuff together and be on point all the time because that was what was expected of me. But then that translated to how I was physically showing up, and what my desk looked like and how everything was structured. And if somebody touched something on my desk, like I knew immediately that it was out of place and like that it had been touched, that kind of thing. But that was a protective barrier too of like you're invading my space. And so there's a lot of different things going on there, but it was interesting just to mention, for the sake of I am an organizer and I am a planner, but less so when nobody else is seeing it and like having me keep up walls and appearances.
So you're also an introvert.
Oh, very much so. Yeah, I definitely recharge alone. Like I do not gain energy from being around other people. I'm happy to be more social, and I've learned how to be more social in certain instances. Being an introvert doesn't mean that I'm not social, that I'm antisocial, but I definitely like to recharge alone and like be by myself, have my own things. I don't want other people to touch those things.
Right.
Yeah, a little bit OCD.
Yep. So the territorialness is definitely an introvert, where an extrovert would be, hey guys, if you need something in my desk, like feel free to go through my drawers and find it and borrow it. Just please return it. Whereas introverts are like, if you need something and I'm on vacation, don't touch my desk or I'm going to kill you. Like
I'm okay with people touching my stuff as long as they tell me that they're going. Like, don't just go rifle through things.
Right.
But like at least whether you do it before or after, at some point, let me know that you did so that I don't freak out. I'm very open to sharing things, and it's not like I'm closed off in that way. But just give me the heads up that you did that, so that I don't come back and it's like a whirlwind of like, oh my God, everything's all over the place. At least then I know why everything might be all over the place. You were looking for something specific, and I wasn't there to tell you that exact place that it was.
Well, I've been paying attention to the people coming. We've had consistent viewers, still no comments.
Yeah,
So,
which is odd for us. We normally have at least people that say hi.
yep. Which that's really cool. Maybe it's because, hey, our content's not as what's top of mind for them this week.
Yeah, what do you guys want to talk about? We can switch gears.
Yep. So the topics so far have been common mistakes, which is a lack of not focusing on the right things when you start your business, going into sales and marketing, and also what are some of the first things you need to do in business and in what order in order to grow and develop your business. Also, productivity. We've touched some on some productivity. Both Shell and I are using Asana together now to map out tasks.
Yeah,
And
I think
yes,
that's
I
great.
know that my past tasks, I got derailed because I need to redo the video to pull out the show notes, and so I
Yeah.
just left all the tasks that were like subsequent of that in their place instead of sliding them, which is a bad on my part for sure.
Yes,
But
but at least it alerts you and is a reminder for you to do those things before you maybe do other things or schedule new ones on top of that. And so I also am not beating myself up if I don't finish all the tasks that I've scheduled for myself that day. I think we had talked previously. I will just move it to the next day and like slide things around accordingly, and I'm okay with that. But previously I would beat myself up like I have to get this done and I can't go to sleep until this is done, and I would bang my head to like find that extra energy and those extra hours that didn't exist, to just stay up and knock it out. But tomorrow's another day. I don't need to get all the things done right now. And similar to like if a child doesn't want to do something, you're not going to necessarily force it. Like you can insert it again and reinforce it in other ways to get them to do something, but you don't necessarily, okay, they don't want to go interact with that kid, they don't want to eat this kind of food. I'm not going to force it. And so my boyfriend even made a point the other day to say like, hey, you didn't want to do that today, okay, we'll do it another day. Like we're not gonna, you don't want to take pictures for your website today, you're not in the mood, you don't like. And I wasn't. That was specifically what we were going to do because the lighting was really good, and I just wasn't feeling it, and I didn't want that to come through in the pictures because I was feeling a little bit sad, and I know I wear my heart on my sleeve, so I was like, I could keep doing the things and we could take these pictures right now, it'll take an hour, but I don't want to show the sadness. And so since I wasn't feeling it, we didn't do it because I didn't want to force something that wasn't there or ready.
the thing it's helped me do, because not all the tasks for me in Asana are the ones that you see. It's also other things that I'm doing.
Yeah.
The thing that this has really helped me do or see rather is that I actually schedule too many things. I plan on doing too many things, and it's easy when I'm thinking about this project that's my only context, and I think, okay, here are the nights or days or like whatever that I can work on that through the week. And then when I switch context to another project, it's like, okay, well, here are the things that I can do, and I'll just use the same days. It's like, what? And it doesn't work that way.
Yeah,
And like
where are
at
the
the end of the
hours
week, I'm
coming
like,
from to do that stuff too?
yeah, yeah.
Because then in Asana it brings it all together and you can see a collection of your tasks at the top. And then it's like, all right, well, I have X, Y, and Z to do from column A. I have A, B, and C 1, 2, 3 to do over here, and I've scheduled all of those to do today. That's not going to happen. I bite off more than I can chew sometimes as well. So. Yeah, I definitely have other boards now that you can't see, including the one where I accidentally selected you. And I don't know why. It still lets me add you as a collaborator, even if it's set to private and you haven't been invited to that board.
I've noticed that too. Let me go, because I've got this curious question on my mind on the board that we are sharing. If I can select any of the other people. Nope, only see us. So that's comforting, because I've got another one that I'm sharing with someone, and I'm wondering if they can see like for example, you or other people.
But if you go down and into the collaborate area, you have the option still to pick me to collaborate with on a project where I'm not necessarily invited to.
Yes, but I can't
they
select
can't see
the
it.
other people
Yeah.
that you have added. So that's good. Another way to, by the way, to stop that is up on your. No, they're just listed there. So I know when you click your picture on the top right, it will list all the different, I don't know what to call them, workspaces or project. It's not a project, it's a higher level. I think it's workspaces. And you can switch between them there. You can make another one.
Yeah, I don't have any other workspaces versus yet. It's just mine, but I have lots of teams.
Yeah, I was thinking it was a Teams thing if you created a new team, but it's not. You actually have, it's whatever that thing is, and I don't see like a plus button. Oh, actually, you click on your picture, scroll down to more, and there's a create new workspace, and that'll do it. And then the other thing is that they have terminology mix up. They also call it an organization, so you can remove yourself from an organization, which actually removes you from that workspace. Anyway, so if you didn't want people to cross-pollinate ever, you could just make another workspace. But then the like my tasks is at the workspace level. I haven't found a way to have a my tasks that pulls in all of the workspaces. So
right, and that's what we were looking at together when we were first setting it up.
Yep.
One thing I do really like about Asana, guys, and it's way better than like the Kanban boards in Trello because you can switch the views. And you've probably turned off this feature just because I think it's a more girly feature. When I check off the task when it's completed, I get really excited seeing the unicorn fly across the screen. I love that. In fact, I turned on the setting to make more of those actions happen so that I can see them almost all the time. It's like, I love it. It's exciting.
So I don't distinctly remember turning that off. I remember seeing the unicorn in the beginning. I don't see it anymore. So I don't know. Maybe I accidentally turned it off, or over time it turns itself off. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I don't know if there was an option for me to turn it off. I know under the hacks setting, there's a button to slide to turn it on to like have extra delight. And so, yeah, that's definitely I want it on. Swipe right. Yeah. I want the extra delight.
Wow, still no questions or comments, even hellos, even with the people that have been dropping in and coming by. We've had some consistent watchers from the very beginning. I don't know, maybe comments are broken today. I'm not really sure. It makes me, let me go look at the Facebook. Because that one's usually the most active. I wonder if it's just broken. Nope. No comments.
Oh, man. I wanted to hear from you guys.
Heartbroken.
Are you able to see who is in there? Call them out. Invite them on. Not even any productivity stuff, guys, like Trello versus Asana, Google Keep, Google Tasks, just using your calendar. I'm definitely a very Google-oriented person, and so it took me a lot to try to switch from putting everything in Google Keep and Google Tasks and my calendar to put it all in Asana. And so I'm trying to get all my Google Keep stuff into Asana a little bit, so it's all stored in one place. But that's probably been my biggest thing because I always default to put stuff in Google Keep. Oh, hey
Tyler.
Hey, YouTuber.
How's it going, Tyler?
Where did we leave off with you last week? I feel like we had something that was pending that we needed to get back to, but I could be
wrong.
Right? Did you watch on Facebook, or was it YouTube as well last week?
I think he was on Facebook last time. Yep, get things done tools. So I've done, I've gone through GTD before. I really like the two main things, at least two that I can think of, that have helped me the most is having one common inbox. So by the way, GTD is get things done. It's a specific method of task tracking and things like that, as well as ideas and things like that. Ideas can derail you too, because if you have a burning idea, it'll stay top of mind and you can't focus until you feel like you've written it down and put it in a place that is important that you'll be able to bring it back. So GTD deals with both tasks as well as ideas. So for theirs, the GTD method, and this is Alan, man, can't remember. I just remember Alan. I think that's his last name.
David Allen.
Is it David Allen?
Mm-hmm.
And Tyler says he uses Nirvana GTD. So the big things that helped me was having an inbox. So there's just always one place where you collect all your ideas, and then having set times to go through them and categorize them and plan them, put them on the calendar or whatever. I think GTD also does not want you to like book out an entire week. And I can get the point. Like I agree with it. Although I think booking out an entire week is probably good. But the thought is if something interrupts day one, then you're constantly like sliding everything else over.
Yeah. I think that's useful though. And I'm just going to cut in right there. I think even when we were setting ours up in Asana, you had suggested that I don't go beyond scheduling a week. And so while I understand the method of keeping it more short-term, shorter range than a week, I would just say that I have found it helpful to keep the whole week scheduled, but I don't go beyond that anymore. I don't try to plan my entire month, let's say, because then I'm constantly moving things over. But I think a week, Monday through Friday, I try to not do too much stuff on the weekends. Keeps it more containable. So I don't have a problem with that. I'll let you take it back from there because I cut you off.
No, that's good. I think another way to use that, especially with Asana, is to use the Kanban. So you have a starting column. I guess I'll have to do it in reverse for those that are watching. You have a starting column. Typically it's called backlog, and that's like where all your ideas go or the tasks that you know you need to do sometime in the future. And then you do some grooming where you say, okay, these 2, 3, whatever are the most important, and you move them into to do. And then as you work them, you move them into work in progress. And you want to limit, the key with all of those is limiting how many things can be in each one of those columns. So obviously work in progress, you can't have 100 things there because there's no way you're working on 100 things at a time. And so when you have limits, like you just say, hey, you know what, I'm never going to have more than 3 things in work in progress. When there's something you need to do and or there's something that you need to actually begin to work on and you move it into the WIP column, work in progress, then you have to take something else back out and you send it back to do, or you send it back into all the way back to backlog. So back to the very beginning. And your to do, maybe you'd give it a little bit more, like you may have 5, 7, 10 items there. But again, you would want to set a limit because you can't have everything prepped to do. It needs to be a limited number. So you can use that in conjunction with in Asana, by the way, by not assigning a date, but assigning one of those categories of, to do, WIP, or backlog. And at the beginning of each week on Sunday, then you pull items into WIP and give them a target date for that week that you're going to do them.
Yeah. To Tyler's question, I'm not familiar specifically with that Nirvana app, although I did just look it up. And it seems very much like a bullet planner, but as an app, which I think can be useful. I think I personally get those same things out of using Asana right now, and what Richard was saying about the Kanban board with listing your to-dos and then moving them over as you schedule them. That's a good place to have your brain dump of like, here's all the things that are in my mind of what I want to try to achieve. Now let's break them down into more achievable pieces. and then you can constantly pull from your brain dump list. So I specifically can't talk to Nirvana's ins and outs, but from looking at it briefly, it looked very similar to using Asana, which is also free, and or at least I'm using the free version, and I can use it as an app on my phone in the same way that Nirvana is.
Yep. So I'm looking at Nirvana, and it has like similar Kanban categories. They're on the left and they go top down instead of like Kanban left to right.
Yeah.
With the columns, the same concept, but you have like next, waiting, scheduled, and someday. I think that's probably a good category because some things, by the way, if you're putting something in someday, that means you're really never going to do it. But it's good to, sometimes you need that mental relief. Like I've got that stored away for someday instead of deleted. But, a month later you go through it and you probably delete all that stuff. So
yeah, it's like that's the dump it category. It's like I just needed to get it out of my mind so that it's not a constant thought. But like I can delegate it, I can dump it. And those are usually where those things fall in when I put it in the down the road category.
So Tyler, it'd be really cool to hear what your thoughts are. Like, why do you specifically like Nirvana GTD? How long have you been using it? What are some of the gotchas that you've had on productivity, and how did GTD in general or Nirvana GTD specifically help you deal with those kinds of things? I love that kind of discussion.
Yeah. And plus, I've gone through so many apps, not necessarily just for GTD, but just to make myself more productive. And even with other aspects of my life as well, like with financial planning or budgeting and stuff. And I'll just go through so many apps until I figure out find one that makes me most comfortable and that's streamlined well. I like the way this functions, this and that. So it's really it's just like anything else, Tyler. It's your preference to like what your comfort level is with it, and does it do the things that you want it to do.
Exactly. Well, we are coming up on 1 hour, and I've thought a little bit through this show on not having as much engagement as we normally do. I'm beginning to wonder if, because it's spring and we were out today like planting a new tree, and it was still kind of chilly, but it's like the sun is definitely brighter, and so it feels warmer even though the ambient temperature is about the same. I'm wondering if people are just getting out more. We are mid-afternoon on a Saturday, so I will poll the group this week and see if they have better times.
Yeah, maybe we need to do it an hour later.
Yep. So Tyler says the Nirvana, I'm sure is what he's referencing, is the closest to a strict GTD. He's bad about sticking to one thing. That's a common thing. Getting excited about one thing and then the next day excited about something else. Todoist, Trello, Wunderlist. I'm bad about keeping up. Yeah. So I think that's the other thing is like having a tool that enforces the habit itself of using the tool, because you can have that. It's just like workout equipment. You can have the absolute best, in-home gym. If you never use it, it does no good. Buying it doesn't give installing it on your phone doesn't make us more organized. So definitely having something that's easier to do. And that's actually a good topic we should save for next week. I am going to write it down. And
on your Post-its?
Yep, on little sticky. And this one is habits, because I think habits is a really big thing. How to create them, how to make new habits that you want, how to get rid of habits that you don't want. Like I've studied that a lot and understand the psychology behind it. And it's a really good one to have in your toolkit. So I'm going to peel this one off and I'm going to stick it on top of my monitor.
Yeah, I've been building a new habit of going to bed earlier, and so that I can wake up earlier more easily. And so that's a work in progress, trying to turn the TV off sooner. a little bit every night to get myself adjusted to it.
My secret with that one, actually, to get myself to go to bed earlier is to have and to be able to go to sleep, is to have something that I'm interested in doing in bed, which for me is an audiobook. Because if I get it my Chromebook, tablet, or watch a video on my phone or whatever, there's no end to that, and because it's visually stimulating, I can actually just stay there and stay awake. But with an audiobook that's very captivating, I'm going through different ones right now. I'm going through The Expanse, which is also on Amazon Prime Video, but I'm going through the audiobook series. I will start that. I set it for 10 minutes, or if I'm close to the end of a chapter, like 5, 7, 10 minutes away from the end of the chapter, I'll tell Audible to stop playing at the end of the chapter. And invariably, when I wake up in the morning, I have to, and I want to pick the book back up, I have to rewind because I went to sleep in that 10-minute period. So that's been a really good trick for me.
Yeah. It's hard for me to not want to turn my brain off by watching like TV or just having like staring at a screen where my brain doesn't necessarily need to be on and focused. So for the longest, I have fallen asleep watching TV. And being able to actually set the sleep timers on the TV to turn off and be asleep before that happens is part of my habit forming, because otherwise, if I'm still awake, I'm like, oh man, I was really watching that. Like, I'm really into it. Like, let's turn it back on because now I want to know. Whereas I have been pretty successful at it in the past week, where I set the timer. I'll put on something that's not what I want to be engaging in, something that I can just have as background noise, and similar to an audio book, I guess, or just music, where then I can just take my glasses off. I don't have to look at the screen. I can close my eyes and just hear it, and then it's just background noise that I fade out to. It's been working. It's been working, and I've been waking up almost without my alarm. Of course, I have the cat for that as well, so she jumps all over me in the morning when it's time to feed her.
Awesome.
Habits. Well, we can pick that back up next week.
Yes, I'll have it, because understanding how habits work and how to use how to create the habits by understanding how they work within us, I think is very, very powerful. So it is something I will have for next week.
Yeah, and Tyler, I want to challenge you to tell us in the Facebook group or in YouTube, what specifically are you not liking about Nirvana that has you asking that question and has you still jumping around to different apps like Todoist, Trello, Wonderlust? Like, what are you not getting from that system that maybe we can help you find somewhere else?
Or maybe he couldn't find it with the other ones, and he finally settled into Nirvana GTD.
Either way, tell us more about it. Tell us what you like, what you don't like, because I want to know. I definitely hate Trello. So.
Yeah, after you use the Asana, you get used to it. Like, Trello just doesn't cut it. So
I've never been a Kanban fan. I just can't. Like, sometimes I want to look at it because I can put pictures in there and then it's pretty, but it's not as helpful for me. So I like actually having the lists with check marks that I can like check the box and then it goes away. Or in this case, I get a unicorn.
Yep. Alrighty. You ready to sign off?
I'm ready. If nobody else has any questions, Tyler, thank you for joining
thank you.
us for a few minutes. And otherwise, guys, let us know what your questions are ahead of time, and we can chat more about habits and other things next week.
Alrighty. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.